This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Boobies. Hi.
Hello, and welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we're here to talk to you about
Paranormal Activity. A little spookening. A little raza-daza with the ghost. They're coming out.
Say.
A little spooky ooky demons coming out to have a little, put a show on.
Last night I looked on my time hop and it showed me a meme about Chuck E. Cheese that was like, "Come on down, Mechanical Rat Pizza and Child Casino," and that was how I read it to. That's how I read it to Andrew, and he was like, "Yeah,
what the
say."
A Mechanical Rat
Pizza.
What? Pizza and Child Casino.
Yeah.
I love that. Child Casino. That's funny.
That's what it is,
That's
basically.
what it is. Yeah, that's funny. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But yes, some paranormal activity that's stirring about. This very popular, what do you call it again?
Found footage.
Found footage film released in 2008?
Seven. On HBO Max, it said 2009, but when I looked it up, it said 2007 everywhere. So I was like, "What? Hopefully, I'm watching the right movie." It is what I remembered Paranormal Activity to be. So,
oh yeah, same.
With Katie, Katie, and Mika. Caddy.
And the whole time I wanted to be like, but it's spelled Micah.
It is spelled Micah.
But I guess Mika is the theme. I don't know.
Everyone plays themselves. Katie Featherston, Mika Sloat, Mark Fredericks, Dr. Fredericks. I think the only person who doesn't play herself is Katie's friend.
The Amber chick.
Oh wait, no, maybe it's Diane, who is played by a different person.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Amber plays herself. Ashley Palmer plays Diane.
Yeah, because they were really trying to make it seem like this was all like real.
Yes.
Which, we should have known better that of course it's not real. But they really did play into that and make the audience and like the general public feel like, man, this is like all been put together like really by someone at home. And even the whole film itself, it was filmed in what's his name? Oren Peli. It was filmed all in his house. Peli, yeah.
Oh, it's all in his house?
Literally all in his house. It was shot for $15,000 like on that budget. But then when the studio acquired it, Paramount Pictures, they reshot the ending and they spent over, I think it was like $200,000 or something like that.
Just on the ending?
Just on the ending, yeah. Which I want to see what, like, I guess that original ending would have been and why they needed to spend so much money to do that when the ending is like super home video-ish. So I don't understand why they would have need to have spent that much money. Maybe they had to recreate the whole entire house or set.
Yeah, and all of it happened off screen too.
Yeah. For the most part, she's just screaming, and then we get the ending scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anything you want to add before we jump in?
No, I don't think so.
I was actually able to watch this and not have to really take a break or anything.
Oh, good. Yeah, I noticed it. It was he was always moving slowly with the camera. He was never really running. So it was a little less found footagey, like shaky cam.
It's very documentary style.
Yeah.
Especially the camera he had looked like one of those docu-series cameras you put over your shoulders. But Yeah, we and it, it was I hadn't seen it literally probably in like since I don't know 2008 or something, so a really long time. And
Same.
I guess I just never really realized like I guess I remember like I had totally forgotten about the Ouija board scene and like it catching on fire and all of that
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I
I
didn't
was
remember that. I basically only remembered the ending.
yeah, same. Yeah, I remember that part for sure. And I remember there were certain instances that I was thought that I remembered that were about to happen, but they just kind of happened a little differently, I guess. I remembered it differently. Um, but overall, I thought it was like I'm already giving my review. Let's call it a day. No, just kidding.
And that's all.
I'm just saying I literally thought I was like, man, this is kind of gonna be a chore to kind of watch again, but it was kind of enjoyable a little bit to BH. But even though it's a bad movie, it it
It has an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I was
a bit surprised, gagged.
perplexed. Yes.
Yeah.
I was like,
Because I mean, I feel like there's kind of
this is warrants at 83%. There's other movies out there that I'm like, they are definitely better than this, and then they have shit Rotten Tomato scores.
yeah,
And I'm like,
but that's
I
all
don't know.
subject to our opinion, isn't it?
That's true.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Before we start,
this film wasn't terrible.
yeah. I guess we should really get into it right before we start.
Yeah.
So it opens up with us meeting our couple that we're going to be spending the next hour and a half ish with 40 something minutes wish, which is Micah and Katie.
Mika.
Oh, Mika. Oh God, it's already starting. I want to call him Micah. Mika.
I did too. Yeah.
Also, Goopy's little meow was so cute.
Yeah. Oh, you knew it was her.
Yeah. Well, I assumed
Suki's meow is more baby like. Suki's is like meow.
Yeah.
Suki's a little baby.
She's just a baby. And we're setting
Suki's
up that it is
around
September 18th, 2006.
Yes, and we got a little. Would this be considered diegesis? The Paramount Pictures would like to thank the families of Katie and Mika and the San Diego Police Department. We got that at the beginning to really like solidify the fact that this is supposed to be based on a true story / that this was real life events that happened.
Yeah. Real people, real things, real haunting, real spooks caught on real camera.
Yeah.
And Mika is setting up the camera and we're getting, we're testing the angles, the shots, the volume, all of that stuff. And Katie is kind of just like, going about her day, her business, and just kind of being like annoyed almost a little bit that he's just kind of like getting in her face and asking her to do stuff. She's kind of like, they're just kind of like, what's the word? Taunting him, like playing. What's the word when you're like picking on someone, but you're not being mean about it?
Jesting.
Yeah. Like what couples do. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little taunt.
It definitely is setting up little like cute interactions between them that really kind of setting the scene of their relationship. And we find out that they're recording because they've been having some paranormal phenomena happening around the house. And that's why, so they gave us the reason why they have the camera in their hand. And so,
which is what you need in one of these types of movies.
Yes. And so they gave us that. And then we get kind of, maybe I also sense that maybe there was a little bit of tension between them with money because he's a day trader and stuff. And she was like, how much did you spend on that thing? And he was like, half of what I made today. And she was like, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So,
and she's in school, she's studying, she wants to be a teacher.
Yes, yeah. She's an English major wanting to be a teacher. And but then we're with them cooking dinner now, right?
Yes, they're cooking dinner doing coupley things, and then they're kind of setting up the scene and talking about. She's talking up. Is this where she's setting up how like the ghosts, the hauntings have been happening kind of her whole life situation?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and like ever since she was a little girl, she was 8 years old. She's just been, strange things have happened, and that comes and goes. And do we? I don't think we get told about the fire or her moving at this point. No,
No. Yeah.
no,
We
no.
get that whenever she's talking with Dr. Fredericks.
Yeah. So she's just kind of setting that up a little bit. And then he's just kind of like, basically egging her to like egg it on. And she's like, I don't want anything to even really happen. Like, I don't think, she basically is giving very much like she's not comfortable with the cameras because she's not comfortable with making or agitating or making this come back into her life.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably the setup, probably like a few weeks before this happened or something, maybe one little thing happened. And then she just happened to be like, oh yeah, I've just kind of been haunted my whole life. And then he was like a dick and is like, I'm going to exploit this. And like,
yes,
yeah, literally.
Yeah, no, Mika did a good job of making me hate him.
He was an asshole.
Yeah, because there was at one point where I was like, boy, if you tell her to chill out one more time, I'm going to lose my shit on you. Like, that's one of my least favorite things in the world is to be told to chill out. Like, specifically, or like
calm down.
Yeah, or calm down. But chill out is what really, like, it pisses me off. And so
mine is don't be like when someone calls me traumatic, or don't be traumatic.
Oh yeah. That too would piss me off. But yeah, he kept telling her to chill out. And I was like, boy, you say that one more time. I swear to God. And then he just had a whole bunch of toxic masculinity wrapped up around him. And he later on when he's like, well, you're my girlfriend. I'm going to fix this. Like, this is our problem. Don't call Dr. Avery's. We don't need no one else here. Like, blah, blah,
and he's
blah,
like, this
blah.
is my house. You're my girlfriend. When he's like, and he's like taunting the demon the whole time. And then he's very like, at one point, Dr. Fredericks is like, this is a demon, not a ghost. And then like, he doesn't take Dr. Frederick seriously, but then like the next day or night or something like that, he's like, oh, this is a demon. Like, I'm looking this up. And he's like,
and he's like, this is totally my idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was like, no, that was actually Dr. Frederick's idea. And you're just stealing it now.
This whole podcast, we're just going to shit on Mika.
Yeah. No, I mean, Mika really did a great job, like acting wise.
Yeah. For us to hate him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a love-hate relationship that we have with Mika. Mika, the person, did a good job. Mika, the character, was a shithead.
And so they're going on about their day, talking about how they want to capture some stuff on camera. And then I believe they're on the couch, just kind of chillaxing. And we start to hear some slight knocking. And they kind of start looking around, but it ends up just being the ice maker.
Yeah.
Which they're disappointed because he really wants to capture like some big moment on camera. And they are
he sure gets his big moment.
Oh, sure does. Get those comeuppance. And they start to get ready for the night. And, she's very much like, oh, wait, like, what do you mean the camera's going to come into the bedroom? She's not too keen on the cameras being there, and he's being totally like douchey and like, ooh, the camera, and like and like insinuating like other things should be happening on camera.
Yeah.
He
kept calling it extracurricular activities.
Yeah. And then
that should be the name of the film.
Extracurricular activity. And then they have we get to they don't do it, do they? Is this the first night? Do they do it?
I think they do it on the second night.
The second night. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's just the first
or
night.
night 3, whatever
One of
night
those.
happens next.
Yeah.
But
But this is the night that they are just in the bed, and then sometime during the middle of the night, the keys get thrown across the floor downstairs, her keys specifically.
yeah, we get a lot of
and then we hear other
diagnosis
noises
in this film, a lot with each of the nights. So this was night 1, September 18th, 2006. And Goopy, say hello.
Cameo. Hi, Goopy.
Say
So
hello.
you're holding her like a rocket launcher. Like, yes, literally like a gun.
I love you, but get off the computer.
A little
pitter patter.
Yeah. And
She's
so,
in little baby mode. But yeah, and then then every night they also have the timestamps.
Yeah.
On the bottom right hand corner of the TV or of the film. And there was one, I wrote down like what time everything was happening, and it was very erratic. There wasn't like a specific like witching hour like that it happened. Like this first one happened at 2:08 a.m. The next one happens at like 3 something, and then there's some at 1, and it all just kind of, it's all in the wee hours of the morning. But there's not like a specific like 3:13 a.m. or something. And there was one moment where I couldn't get the right hand corner, like the timestamp, because Suki came and sat in front of the TV right there. And I was like, move, Suki. I'm trying to take notes. And she was like, looked at me like, huh? And I was like, girl, get out of the way.
Wanting you to look at her.
Yeah.
She wanted all the attention. Poor baby. Yeah.
But yes. And so it sounded like someone was like running, and then the keys dropping. And then, yeah, the next morning, Katie finds her keys on the floor, like way away from where she left them, because she normally leaves them on the counter next to his wallet. And they were in the middle of the floor. So she was like, babe, did you move my keys? And
as
he was like,
one does.
Yeah, and just
puts them in the middle of the floor. Yeah.
Yeah. Very confusing.
Very confusing. They're like, whoa, and then we end up at the pool. They have a pool in their backyard, and they're just chilling, going about their day. And they're talking about how the psychic is going to come over, Dr. Frederick or something like that.
Yeah, Dr. Fredericks.
And then there's not really much that happens there in the pool scene, just kind of, setting them up. And then we come, and then the psychic comes over. But before he comes over, I think that's whenever they're at the computer, right? And he's like being a total douche and playing like the music and like, oh, I should play this for when the psychic comes over. And it's like, almost like X-Files ish music, like do 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 do, like ominous type of music.
Yeah.
And then he comes over and she's explaining her life to Dr. Frederick, basically he's asking about it and trying to get some information about them as a couple, how they are. And Mika is very much like, oh, it's good. Like short, blunt, like trying to make it seem like they're great, and doesn't really let her
our relationship is fine.
Yeah. And then she's giving more details to Dr. Frederick, and then they decide to go through the house. And so he shows them, they show him different, like, where the hauntings are kind of happening and stuff. And then he tries to explain to them that what they're dealing with is not sound like a ghostly presence. And it's only because Katie is like saying it like 10 times, like, it's not human. Yeah, it's definitely not human. It's like, it's not a human feeling. And then he's like, yeah, because it's not a human ghost. It is actually a demon. Y'all are dealing with something that's malevolent and probably wants to hurt you or communicate with y'all in some way, and is letting him know that this is not his level of expertise, and that he was referring them to another colleague of his, but that colleague won't be able to help them until like another few days. So they basically, that hasn't happened yet. My bad. He's just referring them to the colleague. And then at this point, he leaves, whatever. And I think that's whenever Mika is just like, that was a load of like bull, whatever, and just trying to like downplay it.
Yeah. So yeah, and going back a little bit to what Katie experienced, she said that she like saw a mass at the foot of her bed, and that her sister saw it too, and like it wasn't like a human figure, but like a mass that just would watch over her while she slept. And then yes, that a fire took everything in their home, and they weren't able to tell how it started. The firefighters wasn't electrical, wasn't anything. It was like an undetermined fire that started. Mm-hmm. And she says that she hears like whispering, calling her name and stuff like that. And then this is where he tells them that the haunting feeds on negative energy. So the like more they all like have negative energy and stuff, it's gonna affect the haunting. And he makes a little joke of like, let's not let your mom come over anymore. And
she's mean. He says she's mean.
Yeah. And then this is where he lets her know like this haunting is attached to you and it's following you. So no matter where you go, it's going to follow you. So you're really not safe anywhere. And Dr. Avery is the demonologist. And then this is where Mika suggests getting a Ouija board for the first time and communicating with it to figure out what it wants. And then Dr. Frederick says, well, it probably wants Katie. So, because he was like, we could just give it what it wants and boom, bam, boom, boom, it's gone. Bing, bang, boom.
I love that. Yeah. Bing, bam, boom, bam, boom, ba, yeah. Yeah. And I love how you can tell that like, what's his face? Mika's kind of being very like just flippant with the situation, like just like like whatever, like I'm just gonna fix this, like this is so easy, like you're making a big deal or whatever. And Dr. Frederick's just like, no, like y'all are dealing with something quite serious here. And Katie is just like, bitch is scared, like she's just wants, like she's over it, like she's just like really wants to call Dr. what's his name, Avery. Get Avery to get it fixed. But yeah, no, Mika's all about, the Ouija board and solving the problem himself, essentially.
Mika's not taking it seriously in the slightest.
And more or less, he wants to like capture whatever is going on film and on camera. Like wants to, have that all be a part of the gig. Because it's not like he is even wanting, because it's not like he's like, yeah, let me fix this problem. It's like he wants to egg it on to where he can get something so much so and capture it. And then he's like, okay, and then we can like, and fix it, But I think we're going on to night 3, right?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And before we get like go to bed, he's like mocking Dr. Avery in the mirror and like saying like, I am a demonologist, blah blah blah, and I'm here to capture your demons and stuff like that. But yes, night 3, September 20th at 2:09 a.m.
2006. And this is whenever the door starts to creak open or close a little bit, and then it opens back up, or however you call it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it did.
Yeah, and then they wake up the next day and see that this is what happened overnight, and it's just confirmation for them more so that spooky stuff is happening. And they are, as that's where he starts to talk about the demon stuff in the book, and he's like he's doing his research. I might have skipped around. My notes are skip a bit.
My notes are a little sporadic as well. I have next that we get the little jump scare with her scream, but it's for a spider.
Oh, that's right.
Not a ghost. And like I love how Mika grabs the camera first. And he like starts running towards her immediately, but then he's like, oh, the camera, and he goes back for it. And I'm like, dude, come on. But then she's like explaining that she feels like it's a monster that wants to hurt her. And she is saying like they're going into bed, I think, again. and she's explaining to him, like, I know this is new to you and it might be exciting to you, but this isn't new to me and I don't want to piss it off. So, like, can we slow the roll on all this, like, camera stuff and antagonizing it, because this is scary to me and it's very real. And Mika's not really necessarily understanding that.
Not at all.
And she's like, whatever's happening, it's already here. Like, that's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But then we're on night 5, September 22nd. Is that where your notes go?
Yeah. And that's whenever she ends up waking up screaming because something is right. She wakes up screaming.
Yeah, she has she wakes up gasping and like crying and stuff because she had a nightmare.
And then that's whenever we start to hear all these noises downstairs. And they are freaking out. They run downstairs. And I don't think anything really happens, because then we cut to the next day, and then Katie's friend Amber's there, and he's showing them the footage of like what happened, and he's like, look, I here's the audio of what happened like right before you woke up or whatever. And we hear this like mumbling, whispering type of situation going on, but you can't really make any like coherent sound of like words out of it. And he's like, it's not like any language I've ever heard, and it's not like anything that I can really pinpoint. It's just like noise. And so Amber, I think their friend is just kind of like, well, that's weird. Like, and then Katie's like, I'm done. Like, we don't need to do this anymore. Like, and then he mentions again, like getting the Ouija board. And then the friend is like, no, I definitely think you shouldn't do that. And Katie's like, I've already said, like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, because she says, Amber says, like, that's just literally going to invite it in. Yeah. So we definitely,
which is what he's already been told.
Yeah, exactly. And so Mika continues to antagonize it. He did so like the night before as well, like saying like, is that all you got? And stuff like that. Very Zach Bagans of him.
Who's that?
Of Ghost Adventures.
Oh, okay.
Who wears like the affliction shirts, and he's always like, come at me, bro. But like, come at me, ghost. And he's gotten more respectful over the years, but like whenever Ghost Adventures first started out, he was really bad and antagonizing them. And I was like, bro, you need to stop.
Put respect on the dead.
Exactly. But he is calling it worthless and just antagonizing it again. And then we go to night 13. So quite a bit has happened. Quite a bit of time passed without anything happening of note. So we jump to night 13th, September 30th at 3:13 a.m. Lots of threes in this one.
Sign.
And
they hear like a shriek in the middle of the night.
Yeah, there's like thudding at first, and Katie wakes up, and then there's like a shriek with a loud crash.
Yeah, and then they're like, what the fuck, what was that? And they go out, and then they turn on the lights, and they can see, or not even turn on the lights, I think it's the light on the camera, the flashlight, and he's pointing it, and you can see that the chandelier is swinging in the living room, like very, so whatever, not even a slight swing, but like very like,
like looks like it could break out of the ceiling swing.
Pendulum, yeah. And they're going through the house, just kind of like trying to search around as if I guess someone's in the house. But they're not even turning on any of the lights. They're just relying on like the little camera light.
Yeah.
And I'm like, also too, if it was me, like all the lights in that, like I'm running to all the switches in the house. They are all coming on immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm getting out the house. Yeah. But I think we even we cut to from that night, and then what happens the next day? Is there a next day thing? Or we cut to night 15 after that?
Yeah, so there's a little bit, they go and time passes throughout the night to 3:21 a.m. At 3:25, they hear something, and then they're arguing kind of over whether or not to have the camera, I think the next morning. And this is where he tries the EVP experiment, where he gets the EVP recorder and is like asking it questions like, what do you want? Who are you? Where did you come from? Do you want to communicate through a Ouija board? And
then it doesn't even do anything.
Whenever he's reviewing the footage, he catches a low growl after the Ouija board comment.
It's so funny to me because he just makes it like, oh, that means yes.
Yeah.
Yep, sure. Because he's like,
time to get one.
For literally, because it literally wasn't even like an answer. It's literally just like, and then he's like, I get, what does he say? He's like, 1 growl for yes, 2 growls for no, or something like that.
1 for yes, 2 for no. Yeah.
Anyways, he loves to just make things work for him. And we come to, is night 15 now?
Yes, October 2nd at 1:36 a.m.
And Katie wakes up out of bed, and she is just standing there, and she's just watching him.
Yeah, she stands there for like an hour.
Because we get the little time stamp, like fast forwarding through, and then she disappears, and that's whenever he wakes up at a certain point. Did you get the timestamp for that one?
No.
But he wakes up and he goes looking for her throughout the whole house. And then we see that the like back patio door is open, and so he goes outside, and we see that she's swinging on the swing, and she does not want to go.
Apparently, it's cold as well.
Yeah, she doesn't want to go inside, and she's trying to get her to come inside, but she does not want to, and she doesn't even seem really fully like she seems almost in a trance or in a state of
she's in some sort of trance,
not being fully aware.
And as Mika goes inside to get some more blankets, because he was like, fine, like, I'll stay out here with you then. He was going inside to get more blankets because it's cold. And he heard a loud crash come from upstairs, and then the TV static blaring from their room. Just very loud. And
Demon turned that volume all the way up.
Yeah. And so he runs upstairs and is like trying to look in there, see what's going on. And then he turns around and Katie's right behind him, and he's like, fuck. And then she's like, what are you doing? Let's go back to bed. Like very
like she didn't know that she was just outside.
Yeah, exactly. And so then it's the next morning, and he's asking her, like, you don't remember anything from last night? And she's saying, no, all I remember is that I had nightmares all night. And then I woke up to you shining the camera light in my face and me saying, let's go back to bed. And so, but she said that she didn't have any recollection of what happened. And so,
yeah. Very, very strange ongoings. And I just have in my notes here that it's the next day and he's a dick. And I think it's because he's also just the way he's going about it. He's like, you don't remember acting like weird, or like he was being like you were acting weird or crazy or something like that.
Yeah, you stood there for like ever, like a weirdo.
Yeah. And I was like, dang, that's a dickish thing to say when like y'all are both going through this, and she's already expressed to him how like traumatized she is by all of this spookening.
Yeah, definitely.
And so then that's whenever she really expresses that she wants to call the demonologist, I believe.
Yeah, right? And he's saying not to bring someone else in because it could get worse.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I skipped that because he tells her that he did his research and he found Diane, right, online?
I think Diane's a little bit later.
Oh, my bad. No, he mentions Diane. He mentions Diane because why is he mentioning out?
Well, he mentions it after the Ouija board.
But
the Ouija board's about to happen. So
my bad. Yeah.
He got the Ouija board, and I just put, dear God. And he's like, technically, I didn't buy the Ouija board. That's what you made me promise not to do. I borrowed it. And I was like, bitch, you knew what she meant. And she was pissed, rightly so. She was like, get the fuck out of here with that nonsense. Like, I did not know.
And she was ready to go out. They wanted to go have a good time. She wanted to go have a good time and forget about all this shit. And then he brings that Ouija board out. And he's like, and he has the audacity to be like, come and help me with this. Like, if you were going to do that, you should have done that shit on your own while she was out getting an errand done. And
or at school and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was very like, come on, dude. But so they end up leaving and he leaves the camera rolling conveniently, but it's just because they were arguing and he follows her out. Yeah. And then not long after, do we start getting some wind building up in the house. Spooky. And like the leaves of their plants are moving, and then all of a sudden the planchette starts moving all around by itself. Mm-hmm. And then it catches fire and like moves across the board. And I was like, holy shit, is their house about to burn down again? Yeah. But thankfully it doesn't. It just extinguishes itself. I guess it needed to catch fire to etch whatever it was into the board. Mm-hmm. Those markings.
Pretty badass. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Scary as fuck, but pretty cool.
Yeah, it was scary. I was like, ooh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even me. I was kind of genuinely like, oh, that's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, not good. Not a good sign. And then they come back and he's like,
it's like 11 something at night. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she sees the board again. She gets mad all over again. And she's like mad. And like saying like fuck off, kind of mad.
Mm-hmm. And then she's like storming off into like the bedroom and stuff, and then slamming doors and whatnot. And then he is noticing that something is like that got burned or whatever. It's like something's not normal with it.
Yes. And then there's etchings on the board.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now I guess it's the next day, and he's checking it out, and he's telling her like, look, like this is what I watched the videos, and this is what it looks like it was spelling out.
Yeah, and he was like, Diane, Nadine, something like that. He's like, do you know any of these people? And she's like, no, never heard of them. He's like, I can't tell exactly what it spelled, but like he was reviewing the footage trying to decipher it. And then this is where that's the next night now, and he's doing some experiment with baby powder.
Yes.
Right? To see if there
October 4th.
Any footprints and stuff. And this is where I put like his toxic masculinity, saying he's going to solve the problem. Like he's like, we don't need demonologists. Like I'm going to solve it with this baby powder footprint stuff. And it's like, well, what's that going to solve? Like it'll prove some stuff, but you can't fix it.
That's literally what I was thinking when he was doing this little fun experiment. I was just like, what is that even going to, like the demon's going to see that and laugh. Like literally belly laugh. And so yes, we put the baby powder on the floor, and
he's like, thank God my feet were sweaty.
Mm-hmm. We have our they're in bed, they're laying there, and then we start to hear, it's funny too because it's like we've heard kind of footsteps happen a few times, but they're never as prominent as they happen right now as well. Or where they are later, because they start, there's a running sequence later. But I mean, like right now, and I think it's specifically because, well, he laid out, like the demon is literally like, oh, you put baby powder out, well, let me show you what I can do, and did like a little tippity tappity dancy like on the baby powder. Went into their bedroom, like just enough to have like 3 like footprints in there, whatever, and then woke them up, Yeah. And then they wake up, and then they're like, oh my God, Mika, look. And there's obviously the footprints on the floor. And then they go through the hallway. They go to the other bedrooms because he put baby powder all the way out there. And they can see that there are non-human like footsteps, like hoof steps in the baby powder.
Yeah, they were like almost bird-like, like 3 claw. Prong, yeah.
And we go into the closet. It's in the hallway, and Katie freaks out because we see that the attic crawl space panel thing that people have, it's been moved, and it's like just slightly
ajar.
perpendicular, to how it's supposed to be. And so then he goes and gets the ladder, even though she's just like, please don't go up there, please don't go, you're not gonna go up there. And he's like, I'm not gonna go up there, I'm just gonna look up there. Like the whole movie, he's just an asshole with like the way he's like, I'm not gonna go up there, I'm just gonna look up there. Like, okay,
I'm not gonna do it, sweetie.
I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so he goes up there, but when he goes up there, he sees and spots something, and he's able to zoom in on the camera, and he's like, what the fuck? And then he pulls it out, and we see that there is an old burned picture of Katie as a child. And she's freaking out because there's no way in hell that that this picture should exist, because it was supposed to have been burned in the fire that destroyed her house when she was a child.
Exactly. And then he lets her know as well that he found it over their bed.
And she's like,
attic. Yeah. She's like, oh, that's not good. So she is, the next morning is like, that's fucking it. I've had it. And we're
calling the demonologist.
Call Dr. Avery. Yeah. And he's like, don't call him. I've got it in control. And she was like, you don't have anything under control. It is in control. And
okay, I had a thought. Sorry to cut you off. I had a thought that, do you think that the demon was controlling him at any point in time, and like also not wanting someone to come over? Like, I hadn't have had this moment, and like, is the demon also kind of influencing Mika to be an asshole and to be a dick and to be like, so like, I didn't know if that was also a thing as well.
Yeah,
and
it
also
could have been,
him,
or at least the lack of sleep now is getting to him, and so he's like, the demon is causing tension between the two of them by like strenuating their
relationship.
Yeah,
And it's quite ironic, because it's funny how like the negativity is what gives strength to the demon, and the more this goes on, the more negative they are being towards each other, him especially towards her.
I think they're definitely playing into the demon's hand.
And she calls Dr. Avery, but he doesn't answer, right? Or like he's not available for like 2 days.
Yeah, he's out of the country. And so Dr. Fredericks is going to come back. And then it's night 18, October 5th. We get lights turning on and footsteps coming up the stairs. And then the lights turn off. And then the door slams. And then there's like pounding on the door. Mika goes investigating, and he's like, show yourself. And I was like, bitch, don't know. That is not the thing we say to the demon.
Especially when you're so open. Like, what are you gonna do? You literally, it's just you. He had nothing. Like, how would he defend himself? Yeah,
exactly. And I was like, come on. And then the door slams shut again, and the pounding happens, but this time from the inside, because they're in the hallway. So they're like, she is like, Katie's like, I'm not going to go sleep in there. Fuck that. It's still in there. And Mika's like, come on, it's fine. Like, look, there's nothing in here. And it's like, bitch, this is an invisible force we're talking about. Like,
he's so flippant with everything throughout the entire movie, even when shit does pop off. Like, and it's almost as if he can beat the demon up himself barehanded.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're going to sleep downstairs, or at least she is, or she wants to, and then he gets her to go back up to bed around, and it's like 3:59 a.m. at this point. But then he finds her downstairs in the morning, and she's like, I'm just so tired of this. Like, I'm scared. This isn't good. Like, it's fucking with us, and it's taking a toll on me.
It's gotten too far.
Yeah. And he's kind of comforting her in this moment, and gives her like a little kiss on the forehead, and then it fades to black, and then they're eating. And a loud thud happens while they're eating. And what do they find?
They find a dead child in the living room.
Yes.
No.
A little dead baby.
A little dead baby. No. They find, honestly, I don't remember what they find. What do they find?
the busted photo of them together, and his
Oh,
face
I'm
is
sorry.
all
And his face
scratched.
is scratched up. And he's like, why the fuck am I the only one scratched up? And it's like, dude, because you're the one that's been fucking with the demon every night saying, like, come at me, like, try harder. Like, is that all you got? Like,
Yeah,
literally.
exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
it,
obviously, because the demon is in love with Katie. And you're like stopping the demon from getting his love.
yeah, this is just a love
Mhm.
story. That's all it
It is.
is. And we're stuck in a nasty triangle right now. And
Mhm.
um he's there in that moment, and because Katie freezes up and she's like, I can feel it breathing on me.
Oh,
um
dude. And then her hair starts moving.
oh, I
Did you
missed
catch
that.
that? Yeah, she's like,
No.
"I can feel it on me," and then her hair kinda does this, like, it's like a slight little "doot," like something's kinda, like, moving her hair a little bit.
Oh,
Mhm.
spooky.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
And then they're agreeing that it's getting worse now that it's happening in the daytime.
mhm.
And so and then we flash to Fredericks coming back, right?
Yes, he comes, because they called him, right? But it's so like, this is honestly the most hilarious scene in the entire film, because he literally shows up, and he's like, "Oh, no, do you know what?
Oh, no,
I gotta
no.
go." He's like, because wasn't it like like I know earlier he's traveling from somewhere, right? Because he even said
Yeah.
earlier he was like, it's so funny. I loved how he was talking to them earlier, and he's like, uh, once someone you don't have to force me to come to San Diego or something like
Yeah,
that. It
any
was so
excuse to come to San Diego.
yeah, and so then it's funny because he's just like walks in 2 seconds and he's like, "No, actually the demon, it's actually really bad that I'm even here. He does not want me here and it's going to be worse if I stay, so I'm just going to go." And she's like, "No, please help us." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to help you. I will. I promise." And then walks out and leaves.
Yeah, he just walks out and leaves. And Katie, I think, even opened the door for him still while she was like, no,
Yeah.
no, no. And I was like, bitch, you're opening the door. Like, lock him in. Do
Yeah.
something. But yeah, basically, Fredericks is saying he can't help and he can't be here because it's pissing it off more.
Mhm.
And he basically says it's an overwhelming sensation and it's mad that he was there. So they um are
This demon said,
rightfully
"No." Oh.
freaking out. Yeah. And
Mhm.
Katie ends up going upstairs and is like sobbing, and then Mika comforts her, and then we get to night 19 October. This was the part that I was like, absolutely the fuck not,
Yeah,
because it starts moving the covers on the bed, like ew, 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 ew.
that's spooky shit. And it's like they don't even really notice too much at first. And then you kind of froze there for a
Yeah,
second. Can you see me? Okay. And then
yeah, so did you.
oh, okay.
It's
And
freezing. I think it's because my laptop is almost dead.
all right, all right. And so then, yeah, the blankets are moving, and she is. Does she wake up? She wakes up, right? She gets out of the bed.
Yes.
Yeah, she gets out of the bed, and she's kind of looking at him, and she
Well,
walks out, right? Or am I jumping?
I think not quite yet. At 3:04, the lights turn on down the hall and then back off.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
then there's a shadow on the door frame, and um and a growl with breathing, and then she wakes up and she's like, I can feel it. And
Yeah.
she's like, I can feel it watching me, and she says that in the morning. Um, and then they review the footage, and then
Hmm.
this is where he finds the website about Diane.
Got it. And then he's telling her and relaying her the information on like the same thing happened to Diane in the 1960s or something like that, but like literally exact kind of timeline where like she was plagued when she was younger and then her house burned down and then you know going through the same stuff that Katie's going through, but then we find out that she died through a horrible like mishap during an exorcism that like was going on, I guess, trying to cleanse her of this demon that's plaguing her. And basically what Mika is saying is that it's randomly that it just like jumped from her and went to Katie. And that's what's been basically what's the word, went to stalking her whole life, essentially. Um, and I think this is we cut to their planning. They want to leave. She's like, I really don't want to be here anymore. Like, I am so over this. Like, I'm done. I don't care if it's gonna like follow me, I guess, but like I just can't be in this house. And they want to leave, but something stops them from leaving. I don't remember what. Essentially, why they don't leave at this moment.
Well,
is it because she's acting weird, and then she's like, I don't want to go?
She hadn't quite gotten to. Not yet. But it's night 20 now, in October 7th at 4:30 a.m. This is where the shadow on the door like thing happens, and then it pulls her out of the bed and then down the hallway.
She gets yanked, and she is just like,
and then
screaming bloody murder.
Mika gets out of bed, and it slams the door on Mika's face, and then yes. And then she starts begging him to go. And he's like, okay, yeah, baby, like, well, I'll get you to leave. We're not staying one more night in this house. But then he asks her to pull up her shirt to show the bite mark that is on her back. And it's a nasty, gnarly bite mark.
It's huge.
And then it is huge. And then he finds her kind of in that trance like you were talking about. And hello?
Yeah, hi.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's kind of being a little fuzzy right now for some reason. Sorry, viewers. Sorry, listeners.
Okay.
Can you hear me? The way it's like the demon is coming after our podcast right now.
Yeah.
Literally. Oh my god, Caitlin, behind you.
Yeah, I think it's because my laptop is dying.
Oh, okay.
We're haunted.
We're haunted.
Don't say that.
Did you just hear that? That is so crazy. There's like a lag, I guess. Haunted.
Yeah. Okay. But basically he finds her in that trance, holding a cross so tight that her hand is bleeding. And then he fucking burns the cross. And I was like, that's probably not a good idea.
Probably not the best. Yeah. Burns it, and then he's at this point, I guess he's like, well, I guess it's
I'm like
serious
watching
now.
you drink your water in slow motion.
Oh, sexy. It's so funny because there's a definite lag going on.
Yeah.
I think even in the audio. And so, but he is now finally taking it serious, and he's like, I guess we do got to get the fuck out of here. And now that he wants to get out of here, he goes back in the house and he finds her, right? And she's laying in the bed, and then she's like, you know what, baby, I don't want to go. I think we should stay. Everything's gonna be fine now. And he's like, what? And she's like, yeah, just trust me, please. Like, let's stay.
I think we'll be okay now.
And definitely she's been taken and possessed by the demon at this point, for sure. And they end up staying, and I guess it is night.
Yeah, there's like a second voice that comes from her.
It's like distorted voice, and it's the last night, and they are in bed.
Yes, night 21, October 8th.
That's whenever she she gets up and she goes downstairs. That's right. And we start to just hear her scream Mika really, really loud, like bloody murder. And then he goes downstairs and he starts screaming. And then we don't really see anything. And he stops screaming. And then we kind of see this like it's so dark that you just kind of see like a silhouette-ish type of thing all the way at the beginning of the stairs, and then his body just comes flying towards the camera. And it's so abrupt and it's so like it's like a jump scare moment. And then we see her and she walks into the room and she comes towards the camera and we get like this really spooky like morphing face scene and she attacks the camera. And that then we cut to, you know, a black screen and it telling us that Mika's body was found on the 11th, I believe, a few days later, October 11th, and that her whereabouts have not been found and she's still missing to this day. Yeah. Did I leave anything out?
Yeah, and it's no, I don't think so. I mean, there was like heavy footsteps coming up the stairs, and it sounded kind of like maybe like someone was being dragged. And yeah, the Mika's body coming at the camera, and it like breaks the camera, and she's like got blood on her stomach, or something is on her stomach that makes it looked like blood to me.
It did to me
So
too.
I'm assuming he was like already dead, and then she just threw his dead body. But yeah,
At the camera.
then all that stuff happens. She kind of smiles at the camera, then rushes it. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Go for it.
Oh, yeah. And but yeah, that's 2007's Paranormal Activity. Oh,
so yeah, my B rating I think is going to be a 4.5, and not necessarily for the quality of this film, but more or less for the cultural impact that the film had. Because I remember when this film came out, like everybody's like, you have to go see Paranormal Activity. Like, oh my gosh, Paranormal Activity. And then I think that it really was at a time too when like horror films weren't really necessarily like weren't like a big like ticket kind of situation. Like there weren't a lot of them, I guess, or I don't know. It just wasn't like the thing for people to go watch. I feel like especially like 2000s and stuff was kind of like heavily dominated by like rom-coms and stuff like that. And then like all the like, you know, the book films that were being created like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and all those stuff was like getting made. And so yeah, I just think that it reinvigorated like kind of the horror genre a little bit at that time. And then even watching it now, I guess it's kind of spooky because does make it seem like it's pretty real. And I guess because of how kind of low quality it is, it does make it seem even more real, like it is happening to some people in their house and stuff. I am curious to see what the like ending was before it was reshot, and they spent so much money on it, because like how bad could it have been? Maybe it would have been better. And I think that, like we said, Mika did a really good job, his character actor, of like making us hate him. Katie was the perfect amount of like scared, but also like it made sense that it was kind of happening to her almost in a sense. And the fact that like I don't know how old she is, but she's got to be like they're old enough to where it's like, dang, Katie, like this has been going on your whole life and you just barely now, like you just been avoiding this. Like she has just been avoiding it and not dealing with it at all. And yeah, that's pretty much all I guess I got. It's a 4.5, but you go ahead and give your B rating.
Okay, I'm going to go with fun facts really fast, and then I will go with my boo rating. The actors weren't given scripts, but were given guidelines on how to behave or what to discuss in their scenes. So that kind of reminds me of Blair Witch a little bit. They like, I mean, I feel like I remember one of the fun facts being like they didn't really give them a full-on script. And they just kind of made them experience everything to like make the fear seem more genuine. Steven Spielberg convinced the filmmakers to change the original ending. So it was Steven Spielberg who did that, apparently. Filming was completed in 10 days. Oh, hi, Suki. Oren Peli shot the entire film with a home digital camera. And then apparently Steven Spielberg had to stop watching the film halfway through on a home screener as he was genuinely spooked by the experience. He completed it the next day in daylight and loved it. And those are my fun facts. I don't know. I didn't like this film when I originally saw it, and I still don't really enjoy it now. To me, it just wasn't scary at all. It wasn't scary to me back in 2008 or whenever I saw it. I think I saw this film in theaters, and y'all know I love me a found footage horror film. Like, they're my favorite. But to me, it's just kind of yeah. To me, it's just a middle of the road horror film. I appreciate all the acting that went into it. I think everyone did a great job. It did seem very real, but to me, it just lacked. I wish more happened. Like, and I know that wouldn't have been realistic at that point, but it just, like, I wish we saw something or like an outline of someone or something instead of just the shadow and the footprints. I don't know. I wish there was a little more that happened, and it didn't. So yeah, I think for me, this film's probably a 2.5.
Wow. So we got a 2.5 and a 4.5, which I think oddly enough puts that right in the middle, like a 3.
Yeah. No, you know where to find us. Contact us on our Instagram. And it's so bad. Yeah, bye, bays.
Bye. Yeah. You know where to find us,
Yeah,
bays?
I think so too.
Yeah. Next time this one happened, bye, bays. Oh, I can't even speak. Next time this one happened. All right. Well, boo bays, we hope that y'all enjoyed the show.
Boo bays.
Boo bays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.